Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Worldwide Soccer Podcast. My name is Simon Allen. I'm the Dalai Lama of soccer. Let's get straight to it, shall we? Or you want to listen to this? Folks, thank you. If you've been a fan of the show since day one, you'll recognize that particular intro music. Folks, this is Simon Allen, the Dalai Lama of soccer, and it's late Thursday, and I haven't really been able to get anything done soccer-wise, well, except for this show, really. And this week, I have been reawakened to the knowledge that I have so much more to do in American soccer. I thought, I thought that, I pretty much knew a little bit about everything when it comes to soccer, especially women's soccer in America. We all know the Title IX portion of how it affected women's soccer in the United States, how it affected soccer in the United States. We all know about the, Dick Kerr ladies, who essentially were a Lancashire team that went around the world and played soccer in the 20s and I think maybe early 30s, or let's say 20s. We know that in the early 20s and 30s, teams like, the Fall River Marksmen and all that good stuff, they try to essentially, promote the game, But there really isn't much going on, I think, people like, to me, it was like, well, it just started really in 72, and then really we'll talk about, the WUSA in the early 90s, the W League a little bit before then. And that's really what it comes down to, And so I thought, I pretty much know the history of women's soccer in the United States, Some people say I know it pretty much too well, you know what I mean? And so I was pleasantly surprised, and I hope you can forgive me for doing a long-winded story here. So just imagine your old friend, the Dalai Lama of soccer, and I'm sitting on, let's say, this table and eating food with a lot of people that I've just met. And for whatever it's worth, it's a table essentially surrounded by women who, I'll to be respectful, are a little bit older than me. Certainly, they are much smarter than me, much more interesting than me. And I'm sitting there, and I'm the only guy at the table. And one of the ladies says to me something like, "Hey, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm into the soccer thing." And she looks at me and says, "Oh, I was a pro soccer player in my day." And I was like, no, you weren't. There were no pro soccer players. There was no pro soccer league, in the 70s. And I was thoroughly corrected. There was a league. There was a league in the early mid-70s, all right, called the A.L.S.O, all right? Now, again, I'm treading on uncharted water here. Imagine someone coming up to me and saying, "Oh, yeah, there was a league. It was A.L.S.O. I'm like, what? And literally, I'm like, what the hell is this person talking about? How can I have never heard of it? And if you Google A.L.S.O, right, you will not find too much about it. You'll find it essentially a snippet now you might be saying, are you saying AYSO, Simon? No, I'm saying A.L.S.O. And if you sort of Google it, you'll find a snippet in on the area AYSO website. We don't want to go to that, but we'll just go. And it's about literally the history of the AYSO. It's an article written pretty much what feels like donkey's years ago in 1989 by a guy by the name of Bill Hughes. And he's writing the milestones of AYSO. And if you scroll down a little snippet, by the way, you will hear Bill Hughes' name mentioned by these two ladies. He was the original AYSO president, and I've yet. But okay, so here, just go ahead. I'll keep talking. Hold on. 1975, and I'm going to read word for word. Because of my wife's terminal illness, I had to resign from AYSO in 1968 in order to devote my time to her remaining years. After Sue passed away in 1973, I immediately plunged back into AYSO coaching senior girls teams. It was here I heard the following remark, quote, "I don't know why I am playing soccer because there is no senior women's league afterwards. I resolved immediately to solve the obvious problem. And so, I, with 14 female quote-unquote soccer nuts, this time formed the American Ladies Soccer Organization, A.L.S.O., the very first organized women's soccer league in the United States. So thanks to AYSO, we have women's soccer, and spirited it is. I have seen better displays of soccer by these teams than so-called World Cup games." Of course, it was 1989. You have to forgive him. "I think I should know. I've been involved in the game over 60 years. Okay. By the way, in 1996, the USSFA formed a women's division." So this bloke who's talking in 1975 formed a league. Ladies and gentlemen, color me absolutely surprised. Never even imagined that there was a league in 1975. In 1975, there were professional soccer players, or at least professionally trained soccer players, until this week, where I happened to be sitting in a table, essentially surrounded by some fantastic ladies that I will never forget. I will never forget, because when I'm going to play, and so I'll tell you what happened. I said, no, we need to, they were explaining to me what was going on about this particular league. And I said, no, we're doing an interview. I don't care where we are. I need to get this on tape somewhere so I can have it. Because again, it was like I was dreaming. I was like, no, this can't be happening. This is the most this was never going to happen. And by chance I was here, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. By chance that I was in this particular environment with these ladies. And 2 days before that, I just didn't really want to be there. I was like, oh, and I got to tell you, I really did have a great time. It was a fantastic experience. And the highlight was me learning something new about American history, about American, soccer and women's soccer. So with no further ado, I'd like, and folks, I have literally interviewed legendary players. I've literally interviewed my heroes when I was a kid. And I have to say, this kind of, I know you're gonna say, oh, Simon, be quiet. No, this ranks up there with, it's like discovering gold, because I never knew this, and so let me just play it, and I think I want to go ahead and preserve this and maybe get the ball rolling to get more information on this. So let me just roll this. Okay, hold on. What's your name?
Well, at the time it was Sheryl Reamer.
Mary Evans.
Okay, Mary and Sheryl, tell me what's going on.
Go right ahead, honey.
You're used to this.
No, I
So wait, you were telling me about the time that you played a halftime show. Hold on, go ahead.
I got into soccer.
How you got into soccer? Okay.
My sister called me, and we were living in Torrance, AYSO, Soccer City.
Central, yeah.
And there was a gentleman that was starting a ladies' soccer team, and my sister called me and said, hey, how would you like to play soccer? I said, I've never played it, but I played a lot of other sports.
Okay.
And so I got my cousin, Mary Evans. I got her sisters, 2 of her sisters, and my sister. And then there were some other gals, and we got together and we had our first soccer practice.
All right.
Couldn't walk.
Do you remember the year?
Day. Yes, she was born in 1974. It was like August of 74, so it was like you were a baby. So maybe 1975 or early 1975. And our coach was Bill Hughes. He played for Manchester United. He was an older gentleman who did not play anymore. And he coached us. And I can't remember, were we Jazz? I can't remember. South Bay Jazz? We were called, I think, the South Bay Jazz.
Yes, we were.
And we thought we were so good. We had a few practices and we were ready for our first game. And we had our uniforms. And we played a team from Manhattan Beach called the Black Widows.
Nice. Okay.
And they had been together for many, many years. And they kicked our butts. I said, I don't think this is for me. I mean, we thought we were so good after a few practices, and these ladies were unbelievable.
Okay.
And then we decided, no, we can't quit. And everybody really wanted to stay together. It was
Right.
good exercise. We were all moms.
Okay.
Just doing a little something extra. And so then we started playing in tournaments, and we played a lot of teams from the inner city and East LA.
All right.
They all kicked our butts.
All right.
We celebrated mightily when we won our first game.
All right. Do you remember that first game?
No.
Okay.
I just remember the celebration afterward
Okay, all
at
right.
the Alpine Village where we danced and drank beer.
All right.
A couple of us played through our pregnancies.
All right.
The next pregnancy I had, played, and we played. How many years would you say we played?
Maybe 8.
8 years. 8 years. We got invited. We were trying to promote. Our coach was trying to promote women's soccer.
Okay.
Tried to form the American Ladies Soccer Organization, known as A.L.S.O.
Wow.
And
Oh, did you?
he invited us to go to a couple of exhibition games to
Wow.
try to promote we went to a packed house at the Coliseum with the New York Cosmos
Wow.
and the LA Aztecs, and we played at halftime and gave them a little taste of women's soccer.
All right. How was the reception when you guys came on?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
Everybody cheered us on. I think we played for like a half. Maybe we played 25 minutes or so. And and that's it. And then
What happened after that?
I'm trying to remember. I'm old.
No, that's not an excuse. That was good. That's good. I've never played in front of a zillion people at Coliseum. That's a pretty big deal.
It was very exciting. I remember another game we played at El Camino College in Gardena.
that was the
We
home of
played
the
halfway-
Aztecs sometimes,
That was the home of the Aztecs. And I don't remember who the Aztecs played against, but I do remember that her sister started dating one of the Aztec players.
You can tell. You
and
can
we
give me the
all
name.
thought That was exciting.
You can give me the name. They're probably around.
Ellen Kelly.
All right.
And that's the story. And I don't even remember why. Oh, I know why we quit. My sister moved to Seattle and became the goalie for the Washington women's national team.
Okay.
And I moved to Santa Rosa because my husband's job was there.
Okay.
And we just kind of.
What was the name of your team that you were playing on?
I'm pretty sure we were the South Bay Jazz.
The South
we were
Bay
from Torrance.
Jazz.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm 70 almost.
That's all right.
So we're talking like a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
Because I think I was 28 or 29 at the time, so that's a long time ago.
That's probably around the time Title IX came along, to where that women had to play. Colleges had to pay
Right.
the
I
sports.
think it was a little later.
It was a little later. Was it? I'm sorry.
Title IX came a little bit after that.
Really? So you guys maybe were. Title IX came afterwards. So you guys maybe
I think
were.
so.
You guys were
I think
pioneers
so.
in that, maybe.
We were pioneers, but I'm telling you, that team we played from Manhattan Beach,
Yeah.
they were unbelievable.
So what was the general sort of attitude by the fans to see these women? Because that wasn't.
It's actually almost like kids soccer. I mean, the only
Okay.
people who watch this were family and friends.
Okay.
But when you're in a stadium,
When we did an exhibition game, they
a lot of
clapped
people-
for
they
us.
clapped for us,
Her
yeah.
sister actually, this is hilarious. I don't know if you want to use this.
I'm
Her
gonna use-
sister, it was a smoker. Well,
Okay.
still is actually.
Yeah.
Has quit many times, but she used to run. She was the fastest runner on our team.
Right.
And she would play a whole half, a 45-minute half,
Right.
and go off the field and just suck down a couple cigarettes as
That
fast
was
as she could.
that was the 1970s.
And then she'd come back and play the same.
Yeah.
And still was the fastest woman on our team.
Anyone
She could
have a
run
few
like
drinks at
crazy.
halftime before you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I will tell you, one team we played.
I never drank in that.
Remember the Montebello team we played? Used to eat Big Macs and stuff at halftime, and
Wow.
they were crazy. They were very vicious. They were very physical. They didn't think anything about punching you. And we were ladies,
Yeah.
but they were not.
Yeah. So
And
what
we got
was
beat up pretty good?
What was the whole like? How did someone approach you and say, "Hey, you should play soccer"? Like, what was the
There was
what
a
was the carrot
notice.
on the stick, so to speak?
There was some notice up at the school or somewhere. It asked forming a ladies soccer team, and my sister saw it, and
Well, we practiced at your high school.
we practiced at our old high school.
What was your
field
high school?
In Torrance, North High School.
North High School. Okay.
We practiced on that field, and we practiced a couple times at the park near there.
So were people watching at the park going, "What is this?" Or was it still like a question mark?
I don't think so. I don't remember
It wasn't
that.
like we ever got a big audience, I mean, I don't think it was that unusual,
Yeah.
women playing soccer, but I don't know, maybe it was.
Her sister at the game at El Camino, the LA Aztecs home game, and I don't remember who they were playing, but I remember during our exhibition game, she kicked a corner kick, made a corner kick, a banana kick, and it went right straight in the
Into the goal.
It was
Wow.
just awesome, and everybody.
I'm sure it wasn't planned. I mean, I think
It was not planned.
It's
Believe
okay.
me. I don't
She
think
didn't say
could
it.
duplicate
She didn't say it
but,
though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
we all just kind of went,
Wow. Have another cigarette, Barb.
And so the Aztecs were formed in 1974. They won the championship in 74.
Okay.
So in 75, they were just coming off a really big year.
Yep.
There were a few guys on the team that were really very, very prominent. And so I want to go back to the coach though. Like, what did the coach tell you? Like, say, okay, like, for example, what did the coach tell you in practice? Like, what was practice like? What did he say? How was his instruction?
we did drills and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we did a lot of drills. We did a lot of running. We did a lot of scrimmaging against each other and against him.
My last test to Farsi.
And I remember one
She was
thing
a
about
reader.
Bill Hughes. He wanted us
She
to
worked
have
for
the
Metric,
craziest socks
in order for her to
Yeah.
that
Oh.
we could
rate
find,
Right.
so that we didn't
She
have to
had to
look up.
pass
We
it.
could look for socks,
That's-
and we
yep. That's old school coaching.
and,
Yeah.
and he was.
she wanted to
I mean, he
continue
was
to work
awesome.
for Prometric.
I mean,
he was a
seriously,
good guy.
this is a true story. When she said you want to
And
come and
then,
play, well, I had never.
she said
I
she
was
needed
always
to
kind of a
pass
tomboy
the
growing
varsity.
up,
Okay.
and I'm very athletic, but I had never played soccer
She works
before.
out of her home.
And so when she said, "Come and play with us," I said, "Okay." Well, the very first time I kicked the ball, I didn't kick it with the top of my foot. I kicked it with my
Yeah,
big
she
toe.
said, I used to
I
find
eventually
mistakes
ended
for
up
other
losing
people,
that
but
toenail.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm on
But
mine.
I learned.
Yeah.
after,
I don't know, but she
'cause it-
did. She finished.
Bill.
Senor Hughes, he
Yeah.
taught us how to tie our
Three
cleats
some
so
minutes
that
left
they,
on the
so that the laces wouldn't
Yeah, on
interfere
one
with
of
the
the
direction
sites,
of the
though,
ball.
she
Wow.
And taught us how to
buzzer.
kick the ball and.
Yeah.
But seriously, I mean,
but,
after
you know, I
being
have
with
no
him
idea.
for
It
maybe
goes this
6
way.
months to a year, I got to the point a ball could come in and I could travel
But
with
it's
my
a new
foot.
story.
Wow.
You know,
He
I
was an
haven't heard
awesome
it yet.
coach.
He
Yeah.
really was. He was a nice man. He was. He knew we were women. He was a gentleman.
Oh, good.
Always a gentleman.
Yeah.
Who was the second coach?
When
Harry
you guys
Kybeck.
are
Harry
used
Kybeck.
Do you know
flight
that name?
attendants
Harry
Sounds familiar.
Kybeck.
out and about,
He coached
you know,
us. Why
like
was he
having a
coach? I
drink
can't
or
remember
something. Do
why he
guys
came
try
and
to hit
coached
on
us.
you
I
guys?
think Bill just asked him to.
Yeah.
But listen to this.
Shine
He
'em out.
died.
Oh.
He was chewing gum playing soccer and
Exactly.
he choked on the gum and aspirated. He died on the soccer field.
Wow. That's the way I'd want to go.
Isn't that crazy?
It was
Yeah,
crazy.
for
Yeah,
somebody like
something
that.
like that.
Yeah, it was
St.
nuts.
Patrick's
So
Day.
he came in
And we
after your
went to,
first coach, and
Yeah, but
did he
I don't
change the
remember
format,
why.
And
or
a
was he
friend of mine
stricter,
and I
or was he just like?
pretended-
No,
was there-
but I remember an
Airline flight
exercise he
attendant.
used to make us do.
Yeah.
He used to
And,
make us
Oh, we had guys.
do squats the length of the field,
It still
like
is,
knee
really.
bends, the whole length of the
You don't
field.
think
And
it's
now,
much.
of course, at my age, I know that that's the worst
Anyway,
thing we
Probably the
probably
worst thing
could
you
have
could have done,
ever
yeah.
To my
done.
friend
Yeah.
But we did
Chelsea
it because we
about
were
it.
young and
And
stupid.
I told
It's
her,
all
I said,
right.
what
But,
was your
Yeah, no, he kind of just took up where Bill took
Patrick's
off.
Day. And she
Or
couldn't
picked up
think
where
of
Bill took
anything.
off.
And I said, I
and-
think.
So how long did this last? You started at 75. How long did it last?
We were safe, and because
still
we knew it was all.
After I first got
Maybe
married.
3 or 4 years?
No,
Oh, God,
no, we
they
played
were
longer than
all
that
over
because,
us,
well,
you know?
but not with
Yeah.
Bill.
Yeah.
You remember,
Harry,
then we
too.
came back and we, as a different,
Yeah,
we
kind
were
of
with
fun.
a different
Hey,
coach.
I know. I was probably
Remember,
19
that was when I
20 maybe,
broke
something
my,
like that.
chipped my ankle bone, and that
And
was
I
my
broke my
first date with
foot,
my
yeah.
husband
Oh,
Yeah.
that day. Remember?
Yes,
but
I
it wasn't
do.
with Bill. There was somebody
It was
else.
Harry.
Was it Harry?
Harry
Okay.
Kybet, yeah. And he died on the field at El Camino.
wow. So let's go back to that game between the Cosmos and you guys are playing a halftime show, right?
Yeah.
So did you guys get to meet the Cosmos, or did they
you ever
wave at you?
play
Did you
soccer?
shake?
George
We
Best came
did.
out
I have
and he was
not.
so nice to us.
Yeah.
He shook all
I
of
used
our
to play
hands.
soccer
Yeah.
with your mom.
And
Yeah.
Pele was at that game.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
In
And
Lakewood,
we didn't
and
meet
Judy
him, but
Wilkinson
he was friendly. I mean, he
Wilkinson
smiled
was our-
and
Do you remember
Well,
what
not the coach, but she
what
was
Georgie
my
Best
neighbor.
was saying to you? They
That's
were
how
just
come I got
cordial, or
He
just
said he enjoyed
That's how
watching
come
us
I
and
got
Yeah.
said
involved,
thanks
and
for
then I met
showing
your
up.
mom.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Of
great.
course, Mary would
we,
come.
of course, he
I
was
must
so
have drove
cute
down
that
to
we all just were kind of like,
because that's where you guys
all
were.
right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
yeah.
Anything
So I
stand out from
mentioned she
from
was
those
married.
times that you're like,
I
oh
never
yeah, this
saw
was
your
great. I got to
kids,
tell you. I
though.
got to tell the world this.
I'm trying to figure
I
out.
think I have neck problems from hitting the
You were
soccer
in the
ball.
All right, that's not a good advertising for
Oh, well, I'm
soccer.
just saying.
All right.
Probably.
But I was pregnant when we were playing.
So-
I was pregnant with Kevin. I was nursing him
Judy was pregnant. Remember?
with Jen.
Oh,
Yeah.
with Val,
So that
I
was
bet.
like,
All right. Anything you took away from it that helped you in you know in the future? Like, can you look back and go, yeah, because of this, I do this now. Because of this, I became this. Does that mean that did this affect you in any way positively?
Wouldn't say that it. I mean, it didn't help me with like career decisions or anything like that. But I have to say that it was probably some of the best memories of my life.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that is very cool.
and it taught me. I coached all my kids in soccer.
Wow.
And it made me, I wasn't timid to do that. I knew enough about soccer that I could coach them until about the 3rd or 4th grade, and then everything else was over my head. So,
I think so. Here's the thing. I think the women who played soccer in the 70s and even the 80s, to be honest with you, they're somewhat unsung pioneers
Yeah.
because first of all, there's no really records of it. You know, like you just like, oh, I played, and you're like, oh, okay, and then you sort of see photographs here and there, and like, who are these? You know, who are these girls? You know, and now they could be 65 or they could be 70 years
Yeah.
old. So we never really hear from them. You know, and certainly we never sort of herald them and go, oh, look, you know, there it is. You know, there they are, and just give them a wave or something. So I really appreciate you.
it was just
you
sad
ladies talking to me.
it was sad that it never took off.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I had to wait till the 90s for it to happen.
you know,
Yeah.
it was sad that it never took off. But living in Torrance, we both lived in Torrance,
Yeah.
and it was
a
soccer
hub.
city, and that's exactly
Yeah,
where.
That's where I mean, A.Y.S.O.
Yeah,
started was in
yeah.
Torrance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot that, again, good times.
Yeah. Well, I'm so
Yeah.
glad I'm here and talking to you ladies. It was really a fun
I
thing.
think that's hilarious.
You know, well, I don't
Stop
know.
that thing now.
Okay.
But they were really good memories. Really good memories.
Well, there you have it, folks. You know, I kind of now am sort of rejuvenated when it comes to learning about some of the soccer stuff that I don't know about. So, I want to thank Sheryl Reamer and Mary Evans, A.L.S.O, American Ladies Soccer Organization, Women's Soccer Pioneers. And you know what, a little caveat here, you can tell that, you can tell by my voice there was a few drinks in me, right? All right, but this is how it is. This is how awesome and cool life is. You're sitting around and the people next to you have a fantastic story. And that's what soccer's about. And you know what? If we don't know our pioneers, if we don't know about it, then it seems like, it didn't quite happen. And now, when I met these two, I'm sort of, again, like I said, I'm rejuvenated. I want to find out more about this. So I'm going to put it out there into the universe. After the interview was done, I mean, what an interview, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we're sitting around, but and Sheryl sort of tells me, oh, it was the Tampa Bay Rowdies. We played halftime. Folks, I'm going to go out there and try to find footage, photographs, something about this, because there was a bloke who decided that women needed a league. He formed it. They were essentially piggybacking off the NASL, trying to do something. They were doing stuff with A.L.S.O, and somehow in history books, they're not there. All right? So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you remember some of this, if you were at that match, I kind of want to see the photographs, or I want to hear your story about it, because I think it's interesting. And all the ladies out there that were in the A.L.S.O, and I say that with a giggle. I don't mean that with any disrespect, because I think that is awesome. But if anyone who was in the A.L.S.O, I need you to contact me, Simon Allen Soccer at yahoo.com, SimonAllenSoccer@yahoo.com. You might have a story to tell. I think you do. And I'm the guy that talks to the folks that really, are, part of American soccer history. I've been doing this for 14 years now, and I've talked to some of the most interesting people in the soccer world. And I got to tell you, this definitely ranks up there. It really does. With that said, let's talk about some more women's soccer, and then we'll go from there. By the way, email me at simonallensoccer@yahoo.com. Speaking of women's soccer, big news coming out of Old Trafford. Yes, so whether you know this or not, FIFA, the governing body of soccer in the world, pays clubs all around the world money for no good reason other than to promote the game of soccer, and that's what its job is. If you want to get money, a little known secret here, you have to have a women's team. You have to promote the women's game. Isn't that great? You have to, if you are, for example, Manchester City, and you want money from FIFA, you need to have a women's team. That's why Manchester City has one. And it's just a great incentive. I'm looking at the positive side, that to get a women's team going. And you know that the league in England is it's gotten from pretty much obscurity to one of the best, if not the best. Oh, I'm going to get emails on that one. Leagues in the world. So, and it's all down to FIFA going, you want money from us? Make it happen with the women's game. So knock, on wood, this kind of thing is going to get better and better, bigger money going in. Arsenal, for a long time, the women were professional because the men, part of their salary they would pay the women. But FIFA really had a big part to it. This week, Manchester United, and I love this headline from the BBC, Manchester United dragged themselves into the 21st century by forming the Manchester United women's team. And then the article goes, but what will it cost and will they succeed? Which I thought was better than just sort of talking about, well done, Manchester United, well done for joining the 21st century, how very, very modern of you. So I want to read the article, and I think it's pretty cool. Manchester United have finally dragged themselves into the 21st century with plans for a senior women's team, says Sports Minister Tracy Crouch. No relation to Crouchinho. The Premier League club revealed on Wednesday that they have bid to join next season women's second division. It's like the 60s, I guess. It's great news, former England goalkeeper Rachel Brown-Finnis told BBC Radio 5 Live. In this day and age, it was a bit bizarre that Manchester United weren't being progressive in forming a team. Well, think about this. They weren't forming a team because it costs money, and now they need money, so the only way they can get money is to essentially form a team so FIFA can give them money. It isn't very noble, but it is probably the best way to go. The Football Association, which runs the women's leagues in England, will not reveal whether the application has been successful. Come on, don't be silly. Until the end of May. All right, yes, it'll be very anticlimactic. After which, United intend to hold trials. Hey, United, why the hell are you holding trials? Let's be honest. Come over to my house. I'll take you around to all the hot spots in Los Angeles where the best young women soccer players play. Yes, there is a rule. All roads to the national team go through Los Angeles. Come on over. You can fill up 4 teams with just the ex-USC and UCLA players, current Long Beach players, and so on and so forth. And you'll be such an international team as well. Come on. You can stay at my house. Really, I got room. Fold-away couch. Just kidding. I don't have a fold-away couch. Anyway, why would I want a fold-away couch? Anyway. But what has taken football's richest clubs so long? What will it cost, and are they likely to succeed in the women's game? Why the wait? Long wait. Manchester United and Real Madrid are the only clubs among the world's top 10 richest teams not to have a women's side, and the reaction to the Reds' devil change of heart has been welcomed by many, if suggested as long overdue. United disbanded their senior women's team in February 2005, months before the Glazers family took charge and England hosted that year's Women's European Championship. The team was described as not being part of the club's quote-unquote core business. If it's costing money, why would it be? Now it's not costing money. Now it's making money. Explaining the decision at the time, United's then Director of Communications, Philip Townsend, I remember him, said, "Our aims in the women's game are best served by concentrating on youngsters." Well, okay. But in January, the FA announced an extra £50 million worth of investment in women's and girls football. Matches are increasingly being broadcast live on television, and the Women's FA Cup final has been held at Wembley since 2015. So it's like Manchester United were just waiting for some money to kick in and for it to be popular. Does that sound like Manchester United to you? Usually they're ahead of the game. Now they're just sort of like sitting back. Well, kudos to them. And it just so happens that the most successful team in the country right now are Manchester City. Coincidence? No, not really. How much will it cost? Senior sources at Manchester United estimate the cost of setting up and running a women's team from scratch would be about £5 million. Chump change, really. Really, it's pretty much Xbox money for some of these players, men's players. And it's estimated that it costs about $1 million each year for the top two teams in the country, Manchester City and Chelsea, to run their operations. Not true. They get money from FIFA. But it can be done on a cheaper budget. Of course it can. Yeovil Town Ladies started in October that stated in October that they would need £350,000 to stay in the top league of English women's football for next season, where players must be full-time as per Football Association criteria. United's annual budget may be less than that, given their application is to join the semi-professional, wow, and that's clever, Women's Super League 2. Okay, I'll be honest, better than nothing, which will be known as the Women's Championship from next season. It will all depend on what type of resources are on offer to the team, who they sign and how much they are paid. But the fact they are starting in the second tier means they can take baby steps before challenging in the top echelons of the game. I believe they will want to win to be the best, Brown Finnis added. So they'll want to try and compete with the likes of Chelsea and Manchester City. Again, if you're on a budget, please, Manchester United, I invite you, come over to Los Angeles. I can connect you with some people that can get you players. You'll have to pay for them, but they won't be as expensive as the ones that you see there in England, but they'll be a lot better. Again, look around. I'll show you around. And up until their Continental Cup League Cup final defeat by Arsenal on the 14th of March, Manchester City held all three major trophies in English football. They won the Women's Super League 1 title in the last full top flight season in 2016 and lifted last year's FA Cup in front of a record crowd of women's game at Wembley of 45,619. And you say that the US is the hub of women's soccer. In recent seasons, they have battled with Chelsea. How far are United behind their rivals? I don't even want to answer that because it's so bloody far. And let me put it this way. The best part of United actually going ahead and doing this is they will give Phil Neville, who is the head coach of the England national team, a place to practice week in and week out. Simply put, this is a win-win for the England women's national team. Their head coach, quote-unquote a Manchester United legend, will have a place to hone his craft. That is the best part of it. Manchester United fans, I challenge you. I challenge you to be as rabid a fan of the women's team as you are the men's team. The gauntlet has been raised, I think. That's how you say it. The challenge is upon you. Go ahead and support the women's team, your club's women's team, the same way you support the men's team. We'll see you next season. My name is Simon Allen. I'm the Dalai of Soccer, and usually around this time, I head off to the pub, and myself, Alexi, and FoodBall Harry get to have a chit-chat. But I've been traveling. Again, working. So those two lads went to the pub, and they went ahead and taped a segment. So let's go to the pub and actually eavesdrop.
I'm Simon Allen. No, I'm not. I'm FoodBall Harry. Here we are, FoodBall Harry and Alexi at the pub.
Bust your chops.
At the pub, and we are missing a key individual tonight.
Our boss isn't here.
The boss ain't here. So, like they say, when the cat's out of town, the mice come down.
I never heard that one.
Yeah, you never heard of that? Jeez.
I know, when the cat's out of town, the
mice come.
No.
Mice come down. Like they go out, whatever. The mice come out, whatever.
Yeah.
Same, whatever. Down, out.
The mice come out to play.
Yeah, to play, right? Well, talking about down and out and to play, we've been seeing that in the Champions League.
Definitely.
We've been seeing the people come out. They're going down, and they definitely ain't been playing.
Yeah.
But today, we're going to talk a little bit about the format. We're not going to talk about as much about the teams that are in this championship.
Yeah, a bit about the teams, but let me jump in. We're going to be talking about how the European competition, the Premier European competition, has changed over time. And you're not going to get to see those Malmos and Stowe Bucharest ever again, playing in the Champions League, or at least winning it. The most importantly, winning it.
Yeah.
And so let's take it from there, Harry. So, what's happened in the European game, where once upon a time you used to see these types of teams that you're just never going to see ever win again. So let's give a couple of examples. Nottingham Forest, they won it 2 times, 78, 79, and now they're not even in the top flight of the English league. Can you believe that?
Ridiculous.
It's amazing.
And there's only one reason for that.
Which is?
Money.
Yep.
Money's taken over everything. And the reason why we're not going to see that is because can Nottingham Forest afford to get those big time players?
Not if they're not in the Premier League, no.
Well, let's go back to the format. Our issue here is about the format.
Definitely.
When did the format go into, what was it, a round robin? It was a straight knockouts. Was it 92? Remember that?
Yeah, it used to be called the European Cup. Changed to the Champions League in '92, and then they added the league.
That round robin group, 2 legs, home and away. But it goes exactly down to what we said. It goes down to money, TV ratings, viewers, and all. It became a business.
Yeah, but why could a team like Real Madrid, who won it 5 times between 55 and 60, who played like teams like Stade de Reims, who was twice in the final?
Okay.
But Stade de Reims, where the hell are they now? I mean, who knows even what division they're playing in the French league?
No, they're definitely in the French league.
Yeah, but are they League One?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
sure?
Yeah, they're League One. I mean, we can look up that stat while we're talking here, but they are League One. But yeah, I mean, they might make it. I don't know. They might get a couple of. I mean, it's the French league, mate. I mean, who's top? PSG, Olympique Lyonnais.
Well, actually, they got relegated in May, and in August 2016, Real Madrid was going to play them in a friendly to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the 1956 final. But I mean, are you ever going to see a French team like that in the Champions League final? Never.
It's gonna be tough. I mean, look, the closest was Olympique Lyonnais this past year because they had a couple of great players. And look what happened. They lost. Lacazette went to Arsenal, right? And Mbappe went to Barcelona. Gone. I mean, those big teams are picking up these guys, and that's what's happening, and that's what we're seeing.
But I know, but isn't it sad? Because how this conversation started was, Ajax are never going to win the Champions League again. Never.
Maybe the next. I mean,
no, they're not ever going to win it. Marseille got to final once. Sampdoria, they're not even a big Italian
but
team.
let's talk about why. I mean, look, Ajax has a great youth program, right? They have good scouts. It's not like they don't have good scouts.
Romario went to Ajax. Ronaldo went to Ajax.
Ibrahimovic. Mido. I mean, they had a great team. They had great teams.
They've won it a couple of times. It's not a joke.
But why are they never going to win again? That's the topic of our conversation. That's because even if they get those youth players or those players that will probably shine and take him to, like, be a Cinderella team and take him to a semis or a quarters, everyone's going to eye those great players and they're going to pick them up.
100%.
Barcelona's going to pay him $100 million to pick him up.
100%.
Real Madrid's going to pay
a
him.
week. No.
Yeah.
I'll give you 500,000 a week.
What is Ajax going to do? You know?
Can't do anything.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen. And that's why they're never going to win it again.
Yeah, I know, but just imagine, in 78, 79, Nottingham Forest was playing Malmo. A Swedish team. It's no Swedish team's ever going to win again. No team. Steaua Bucharest got into the final once they won it, and then they lost.
Ibrahimovic played for Malmo too. But what a great team that was.
That was.
What was in the 80s?
Quality Eastern European players, highly technical players, man.
That probably,
So we had 50 packs during the halftime break.
There you go. They used to go back home, get hammered at night. Probably use the same shoes about 25 times.
Yeah.
Look, times have changed, mate.
Exactly.
It's not the same anymore. I mean, we're not. Yeah.
But in the Barcelona in the last 12 years have won it 4 times. Real Madrid have won it 3 times. I mean, 7 times. It's more. The Spanish team has won it more than half times over the past 12 years. Are you kidding me? And people say the Spanish league sucks.
And you know what? I think I would love to see when you have more teams that they know they have no chance ever to be in there again. They're gonna play with heart, mate.
Of course
we're gonna see those Malmos and all those teams coming out there, or a team like Panathinaikos that knows that we're like a top 2 team in Greece, but we gotta come out and we gotta really try real hard.
Even like Club Brugge played Liverpool in the final.
Any one of those, you don't think those guys are gonna come out and they're gonna bust?
Never.
No.
On a one game, 100%.
They're gonna come out and they're gonna want to prove, and I want to see those kind of players that are gonna come out and they're gonna try hard, and they might even beat a top team just because that top team felt like they were entitled to win. The same way I felt like
Greece win the European Championships.
In 2004 they beat Portugal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's what I would love to see. I would love to see a team that comes out and plays with heart and beats a team that I believe that they feel like they're entitled to win, and they just sit around
because who's won it? Look, it's basically Spain, England, Italy, Germany. And Portugal won it with our good fellow Mourinho in 2003 or 4.
Porto, right?
With Porto, but apart from that, it was Netherlands in 94-95. But consistently,
Ajax won it in 94-95.
Against Milan, that won the goal. Do you know who scored that won the goal? You remember?
Was it Van Nistelrooy?
No. What are you talking about? Patrick Kluivert.
Oh, that was an amazing player. Kluivert was an amazing player.
That was when he was a kid, 18-year-old or something.
I think he was the one that made my Argentinian team in the World Cup. It was in '98. They ousted Argentina. Wow.
So I think
it was Kluivert.
It's just the big guys. I mean, that's why I think look, who wants? If I was me, and I was Real Madrid, I was Barcelona, I was a Man U, I was a Tottenham. Let me throw their name in there. I would be playing Bolton or Crystal Palace on a weekend. I want to be playing Lazio. I want to be playing Real Madrid. I want to be playing the top teams in Europe. That's what the future is. I mean, who wants to play like Deportivo or some some small team?
But why not?
Because they have like a 6,000-seater stadium, and you go there and it's cold, and you have to eat biscuits at halftime. They don't have proper food.
So what?
Rats are running around.
But that's the beauty of the game, mate. That's the beauty of the game, about going back to your roots.
I totally agree with you.
And I would love that, and I would love to see. How about this idea? I mean, I know it's like a crazy idea, but how about just picking one team from each country?
It never happened, man.
I know.
Because if Tottenham would be there all the years.
No.
It'd be Tottenham all the way, man.
Well, Tottenham first has to be a top team in the Premier League to make it, But
now, if you look at it, it'd just be Man City. It'd just be Man City for the next 100 years.
That's why I love the World Cup. I wish the World Cup would happen every year. But that's why I think...
You can't have it every year, though.
No, I know that, but
From
what
a
I'm
qualifying perspective.
well, what I'm trying to say is this: I'm enjoying the Champions League more than I'm enjoying the World Cup because it's more entertaining. Because
How can it be when we just said that the usual suspects win it? At least
Yeah.
in the World Cup, when you're playing a one-off game, like in the quarterfinals, you're just playing one game.
that's what I mean. I love that because then you get to see these teams come out and play with heart.
100%, because if you don't play with heart, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Remember when South Korea beat
Italy.
Italy.
In
What an
02.
amazing game. You know why you knew it was a good game? Because Italian defenders there were 3-0 on the back post. Can you imagine having no Italian defenders on the back post and 3 Koreans there?
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
They were the Koreans only trained for that tournament
But I
the whole
also
year.
but I also hated the golden goal rule. I'm so glad they
100%.
got rid of that. So, look, they need to definitely change it up a little bit. Or more teams got to start coming up with billionaires to run their teams, and but are we gonna ever see that change?
Well, you know what? It's going to be difficult because, again, your usual weekly game, who are you playing against? If you're playing against bunch players, that means you're a bunch player.
Yeah.
You're not going to really improve. You're not learning anything. Your tactical knowledge of the coach, the stadium, the quality of the grass, maybe the quality of the food you eat on a general daily basis is not going to be as good as having a professional nutritionist, having some guy, a physio, to consistently look at you with a small little nick. I mean, one of the Tottenham players, he had a hip problem. He didn't play for a year because he had a little niggle in his hip. To him, it was a big deal. But, to the local guy saying, hey, man, my hip hurts, I can't really kick a ball, you're like, get on the pitch, 70s England. What are you doing, mate?
I always remember Eusebio's story.
Which is?
In Portugal. I think it was the 1966 World Cup.
Oh, yeah, when England won.
And I think it was in either the quarters or the semis.
I think they played England in the semis.
But he got injured. They broke his ankle. But the guy played, mate. I mean, the guy went out there and he played till he couldn't even step on his foot anymore.
Well, do you know saying about not to cut you, but the goalkeeper who broke his neck and he played an FA Cup final.
Who was that?
Yeah, it was like one of these lower league teams that got to the final, and the guy he broke his neck.
That's because he wanted to be there.
100%.
And he wanted to be there and he wanted to win, and he was
meant
not
something, mate.
He wasn't a prima donna, and all these guys that feel like they're entitled.
Well, that's the whole point. What happens in the English FA Cup? A minnow team beats the big team because it's all about heart.
Yeah.
Tottenham got taken to a second replay against a Rochdale or whatever the hell. Who can you believe that? Your players who on a weekly basis, if you added all their wages up, you can buy half the planet with. Rochdale, you can maybe buy a pint of beer with their salaries. And look what they did. They took them to a replay. Amazing.
Talking about a pint, I think we need a pint at this.
Listen, we need a few pints because if the way it goes, and this World Cup in Russia, as you're hearing, all this, political stuff which is interfering with sports, but the reality is the political makeup of this planet is more important than sports.
Yep.
And it can be the case where people make political decisions which override anything to do with sports.
We see it happening. And we're seeing it happen in Barcelona as well with the Catalan trying to be independent. But look, where do we go from here?
Simon's going to be very proud of us.
Simon's going to have to chop this up like you won't believe. So Simon, we got to end this, but...
So listen, have your review, send it to Simon Allen, soccer@yahoo.com. We're very interested to hear your views.
Yes.
Please watch us on our FoodBall Network YouTube channel. We're still doing videos. We did our second one at T-Boils in Pasadena.
It's called
which was
Bangers and Match. The Bangers and Match show. We're having an amazing time. We're having a lot of fun. Check us out, like Alexi just said, on the FoodBall Network. Also go to our Twitter and our Instagram account at FoodBall Network. Again, it's FoodBall, FoodBall Network, and check us out. And that's our time.
Yep. Thank you very
FoodBall
much.
Harry, Alexi, Simon, we missed you.
We did.
You're gonna have a bunch of edits, but we hope you enjoy it.
Definitely.
And we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.
Peace.
Thanks, guys, and well done. That was FoodBall Harry and Alexi. Well done, guys. Talk to you in a bit. All right, so last segment of the show, and we've gone around the world, haven't we? We've just talked about everything, So let's end the show with this. Now, usually I like to go ahead and end every show with a sort of positive story, right? Now, so let me just sort of preface this, guys and gals. And thanks for tuning in. That's appreciated. By the way, thanks for tuning in to all the shows we're doing. I'm doing, Alexi's doing, Harry's doing, Worldwide Soccer, obviously, has been around for 14 years. The newest show, wow, Bangers a Match. I'm humbled by how many, 6,000 views in 3 days for the first episode. So we'll see what the second episode does. I'm sure it's on its way. Great stuff. But there's some days where you literally say something and it becomes like the thing that defines you, right? The guy who shouts goal, I don't particularly like folks on TV who shout goal. I think it's played out and it's kind of lame, all right? The guy who did it first or the guy who keeps doing it, it's kind of weird. And I don't want to say sad because he might love it. I don't know the guy. That he's going to be defined by that one time he went ape crazy and went goal. I mean, literally, it's become a punchline. I mean, you can go look at the, you can go watch a movie called The Hot Chick, right? With, I forget the actor's name, who essentially, it's literally a girl goes into a guy's body, and what ends up doing is the girl goes back to the home where she lives, and her dad and tells her dad that she's a who it's actually I forget the actor's name. She's a gardener from where I think Guatemala or El Salvador or Mexico or wherever, I forget, and they're playing basketball, and the dad does a three throw and to sort of put it in the put like in your face kind of thing, goes, oh, something to remind you of home, goal. I mean, it's become a punchline. It's become kind of passé and kind of lame. It's kind of disco at this point, when disco was bad. So there are, and I don't want to harp on that particular thing, but there are some days where you say something, and this goes for all of us, and it is total bullshizzle, and because it's an amazing amount of bullshizzle, right? It defines you for the rest of your life, right? Read my lips, no new taxes, right? Total bullshizzle defines, a president, just stuff like that. So, in a perfect world, you forgive and forget. This week, a guy by the name of Thomas Rongen, right, who's was an amazing soccer player back in the 70s, Aztec, so on and so forth, Dutch player, very good commentator for whatever it's, if you feel that kind of commentary is brilliant, but I think it's very good, and an overall, I think, sort of TV soccer pundit who's put in his time as a player, and now he's been a coach, different leagues. So this week he comes out and says a very, I think, asinine thing, right? He comes out and says, "Oh God, I really don't want to read it. I really don't want to read it. I really don't want to read it, but I'm going to have to read it just because journalistically, it has to be said." Thomas Rongen, who's a U.S. men's national team chief scout, tweets that Messi, meaning Lionel Messi, if not the greatest, one of the top two greatest players in the world, probably one of the best players in history, says Messi doesn't have a high soccer IQ. All right? And anyone who... And that does, I mean, again, a year from now, someone might say, well, what do you really mean? Right? And he's been attacked. This Thomas Rongen, he's been attacked. Like, what are you, an idiot? you know, everyone from Big Soccer to Deadspin to, you know, folks on Reddit, you know, Dream Team FC, you know, U.S. Soccer Chief Scout honestly believes Lionel Messi lacks soccer IQ. You know, I mean, his tweet, "Auto matter seren," will never happen with country. Immense natural talent. His lack of high soccer IQ makes him average with Argentina, though. Right? It is a bit daunting, right? Now, what people have essentially, I mean, literally calling the guy screeching moron, right? That's not, I mean, again, I feel for the guy because he came out with an opinion that the entire world is like, what the hell are you talking about? Okay? Calling someone, you know, I understand. I totally understand. U.S. soccer is not in a good place, right? And this guy is a chief scout, all right? We just had a soccer election that we don't want idiots running U.S. soccer, right? You don't want idiots. Americans want to be in the World Cup every 4 years. They want to produce great players. They want to essentially, you know, U.S. soccer or soccer fans want to see I want to see the U.S. national team lift up a World Cup trophy. Hell, I'll start with a CONCACAF Champions League, or I'll start with a, you know, Gold Cup at this point, right? And then the guys who are meant to be the, you know, veteran brains of U.S. soccer, right, comes out and says this: easier to mimic Messi than PK. And it's sort of, and I want you to go there, but it doesn't bode well, all right? Let's be honest, America. It's the lack of soccer credibility in the world, soccer IQ in the world, soccer respect in the world that really sometimes holds back the United States soccer team, right? It really comes down to the people in charge, right? Again, I'm not knocking Thomas Rongen for actually saying anything, you know, wrong. He did say something wrong. You're entitled to make a mistake, right? You're entitled to say absolute bullshizzle like Lionel Messi lacks soccer IQ. Because it doesn't matter who you are in the world, okay? You could be the most hateful Brazilian guy that hates Argentina. In a moment of clarity, you're going to look and say, no, man, Lionel Messi is the best player in the world. All right? I'm pretty sure that in moments of, you know, sobriety and complete, you know, like honesty, Cristiano Ronaldo will say, yeah, Lionel Messi. I say it, and I think Cristiano Ronaldo is the best, but I go, no, there to question a lack of soccer IQ or a high soccer IQ by a top U.S. soccer chief scout is somewhat disturbing. Again, I'm saying you can have an off day and say the biggest load of tripe, right? And, you know, I've said some ridiculous things in the, you know, I said England's going to win the World Cup a few times, right? Hint, hint, self-deprecating humor. But I'm not, you know, I'm certainly not at the scale of Thomas Rongen when it comes to U.S. soccer, right? The guys are, you know, the fans at Reddit, the fanboys all around the world, the folks who write for a living, they're not at the scale of this guy, and they know, unless the world has been hoodwinked. And so rather than lambasting the guy, which, by the way, I don't want to do, I don't want to come off sounding like I do, let's really focus as American soccer fans of getting, and I want to say getting rid of people that think this way, because it doesn't make any sense. This had to be, unless someone can tell me differently, this had to be a brain fart, right? This had to be a brain fart. But let's say if it isn't, getting folks out of the system, i.e. U.S. soccer, that think like this might be a very good step towards revamping U.S. soccer Remember, we had an election where people wanted to literally raise U.S. soccer to the ground, burn it to the ground, and bring in new people. And again, I'm not saying Thomas Rongen should be the guy that quits or leaves or he's a problem or whatever. I'll let you decide that. I'm not saying that. But if it's that kind of thinking that's governing or at least, leading the charge in U.S. soccer, then I guess that election didn't work, right? It didn't work. I want to repeat for the 5th or 6th time, all right? This has to be a brain fart by a really smart guy, right? If it is, calling him, whatever, a wanker or whatever the people have been calling him or whatever, it's just, what it is just fanboyism and, putting someone in the stocks, and literally it's the modern day equivalent of putting someone in the stocks and throwing rotten tomatoes at him, all right? But if it is really a sort of a hint at or the sneaky truth about U.S. soccer that actually people think like this, then we have bigger problems than presidents and players leaving to go play in Mexico and horrible coaches and what. We got a bigger problem fundamentally. With that said, I honestly, again, want to reiterate, I think it was just a brain fart. And I don't want to name call. I'd rather have Thomas Rongen come on and talk and try to convince me that what he did was a complete, just one of those days, like when you say something ridiculous, like Pele wasn't the greatest player in the world, in history. Just one of those days where you say it for effect, which it could, and by the way, I am the king. I am the, if anything, I am the Dalai Lama of effect, of saying things to cause a stir. So I can again, not backing that statement, what he said, because it is absolutely ludicrous, just saying it could be just one of those days. Boy, am I on the fence with that one. Usually I'm like, what an idiot. What a complete knob. No. It has to be brain fart. If it is, I don't know. We'll see. So I put the word out there. I never actually invite them. For this kind of thing, I'm like, just if someone knows him, just tell him, I'll come on the show. Just let it all out. That's it. Gosh, I was trying to make it. I guess I started positively, then kind of more positively, then, got to give the lads a go. They did their thing. And then I wanted to end it with a big positive bang. So here's what I'll say. Zlatan coming to LA, MLS, watch out. Superstars are back. My name is Simon Allen. I guess that's positive. My name is Simon Allen. Very positive. I am the Dalai Lama of soccer. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. You can be my friend on Facebook, Simon Allen Soccer Radio. Twitter, @Dalai Lama Soccer. You can go to www.simonallensoccer.com, which is probably where you're at right now. I also put the stuff out on Churbit, and the FoodBall Network puts this show out as well. So you can be in 3 different places listening to me on the worldwide spiderweb. Again, big thanks. Everyone involved with the show. Simon Allen, the Dalai Lama of Soccer, is saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Because without you, the most important person, the listener, I'm simply talking to thin air. Stay tuned for more stuff. I want to thank you for sticking around for 14 years. You know what? Couldn't do it without you. And I really appreciate it. Keep on keeping the love of soccer alive in your heart forever. And remember, it ain't tricking if you got it. I will go. Oh, by the way, I met Michael Bivins this week, which is totally a bucket list moment, from Belle Biv DeVoe / New Edition. So I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to do an outro song from them because, they're kind of cheesy if I did. But what a great week. And I'm glad I'm sharing it with you. And I'm glad you're sharing it with me. I know you can listen to a lot of other podcasts, but if you've been with me for this long, I really appreciate you as not only a listener, but, a soccer friend. Let's cue some music. Peace.
Listen up,